Warren Buffett is the greatest investor who ever lived. He turned $10,000 into over $100 billion. He is worth more than the GDP of most countries. And he made one mistake that cost him $200 billion. He refused to buy tech stocks, Microsoft, Google, Amazon, Apple. He watched them all grow, and he bought none of them for 40 years. In 1997, Bill Gates personally sat down with Warren Buffett, tried to convince him to buy Microsoft. Buffett said no. That decision alone cost him over $50 billion. In 1998, Google's founders pitched him when the company was worth nothing. He passed. That is another $100 billion he left on the table. Amazon? He did not touch it until 2019. Tesla? He still will not buy it. The man who can predict the future of Coca-Cola and insurance companies could not see the biggest wealth creation in human history happening right in front of him. Now here's the question that should keep you up at night. If the greatest investor of all time can miss $200 billion in gains, what are you missing? What opportunities are sitting right in front of you that you cannot see? What is your blind spot? Because here's the truth. Buffett did not avoid tech stocks because he was stupid. He avoided them because of a principle that made him rich. The same principle that created his fortune also created his biggest mistake. And understanding this paradox might be the most important investment lesson you ever learn. Hit subscribe right now if you want to understand how the right strategy can become the wrong strategy. Because what I am about to show you will change how you think about investing, career choices, and knowing when to break your own rules. Welcome to the Investment Chronicle. Let me show you why being right can cost you billions. Warren Buffett built his fortune on one simple idea. Only invest in what you understand. He calls it his Circle of Competence. Inside your circle are businesses you deeply understand, the rules, the economics, the competitive advantages. Outside your circle is everything else. And Buffett's rule was ironclad: never step outside the circle. Here is how it worked. Buffett understood Coca-Cola, sugar water, simple, addictive. Global brand. He bought it in 1988 and made tens of billions. He understood insurance. Premiums come in, claims go out, float in between. He bought Geico and made tens of billions. He understood banks, take deposits, make loans, collect the spread. He bought Wells Fargo and made tens of billions. Simple businesses, predictable cash flows, easy to value. But then the internet happened, and Buffett had no idea how to value it. In the 1990s, everyone told Buffett to buy tech stocks. Microsoft was printing money. Intel was dominating. Cisco was the backbone of the internet. And Buffett said the same thing every time. I do not understand it. Not, I think it's overvalued. Not, I do not like the business. Just, it's outside my circle of competence. Because here's what Buffett saw. He did not understand competitive moats in software. Would Microsoft maintain its dominance, or would a competitor appear overnight? He did not understand network effects. Why does everyone use Google, and could that change tomorrow? He did not understand technology disruption. What if something better comes along and makes Amazon obsolete? These were not stupid questions. They were honest questions. And because he could not answer them with certainty, he stayed out. He stayed in his circle, bought what he understood, and made billions, and missed hundreds of billions. The $200 billion opportunity cost. Let us do the math on what Buffett gave up. In 1997, Microsoft was trading at around $5 per share, adjusted for splits. If Buffett had invested just $1 billion, it would be worth over $40 billion today. In 1998, he could have invested in Google's Series A at a $4 million valuation. $1 billion in Google in 1998 would be worth over $200 billion today. Amazon in 2000, $1 billion invested would be worth $50 billion. Apple, he finally bought it in 2016, but if he had bought in 2003, $1 billion would be worth $80 billion. Add it all up. Microsoft, $40 billion missed. Google, $200 billion missed. Amazon, $50 billion missed. Apple gains, if he had bought earlier, another $40 billion. Conservative total, over $300 billion. $300 billion, because he stayed inside his circle. But here's the question nobody asks. Was he wrong to stay in his circle? Here is the paradox that breaks most people's brains. Buffett was right to have a circle of competence. That discipline is why he is Warren Buffett. 99% of investors lose money because they invest in things they do not understand. They buy whatever is hot, chase returns, and get destroyed. Buffett avoided that trap by staying disciplined. But that same discipline made him miss the biggest returns in history. So was the principle right or wrong? The answer is both. The Circle of Competence made him $100 billion, and it cost him $200 billion. Same principle, different outcomes, and that is the lesson. So what do we learn from Buffett's mistake? Lesson 1, have a circle of competence. Know what you know. Know what you do not know. Most people lose money because they pretend to understand things they do not. If you cannot explain how a business makes money to a 10-year-old, do not invest in it. Buffett was right about this. Lesson 2, your circle can expand. Buffett's mistake was not having a circle. It was refusing to grow the circle when the world changed. In 1990, not understanding tech was reasonable. But by 2010, when tech was clearly the future, that was stubbornness, not discipline. You can learn, you can study, you can bring tech into your circle. Buffett eventually did. He bought Apple in 2016. But 20 years too late. Lesson 3, know when to break your own rules. The best investors know their principles, but they also know when the world has changed enough that old principles do not apply. Buffett's rule was do not invest in what you do not understand. The better rule is do not invest in what you do not understand, or go learn it if it matters enough. The world does not stay inside your circle. Sometimes you have to expand the circle to capture the world. Here is how this applies to your life. You have a circle of competence too. Maybe it is real estate, maybe it is your industry, maybe it is index funds. That circle keeps you safe and stops you from making stupid mistakes. But here's the question. What opportunities are you missing because you are refusing to expand your circle? Is there a technology you should be learning? Is there an investment strategy you have dismissed without studying? Is there a career move you are avoiding because it is not what you do? Buffett stayed in his circle and missed $300 billion. What are you missing because you are comfortable? The goal is not to abandon your circle. It is to be honest about whether you are staying in your circle out of wisdom or out of fear. Because there is a difference between discipline and stubbornness, and that difference is worth billions. The story has a twist. In 2016, Warren Buffett finally bought a tech stock, Apple. He studied it, learned it, and brought it into his circle. That investment is now worth over $150 billion. It is Berkshire Hathaway's biggest holding. Buffett admitted his mistake. He learned, he adapted. At 86 years old, he expanded his circle. If the greatest investor who ever lived can admit he was wrong and change, so can you. The question is, will you wait until you are 86, or will you start expanding your circle today? Here is your challenge. Write down 3 things outside your circle of competence that might be important to your financial future. AI, crypto, international markets, whatever. Then ask yourself, am I avoiding these because I have studied them and decided they are bad? Or am I avoiding them because learning is hard? Be honest, because the difference between discipline and laziness is worth more than you think. If this made you rethink your own blind spots, hit that like button and share this with someone who is stuck in their comfort zone. Because the most expensive mistakes are not the ones you make, they are the opportunities you never see. Next episode, the couple who became millionaires by age 30 on a $45,000 salary, 70% savings rate, extreme discipline, total financial freedom before most people even start investing. The lesson is, income does not determine wealth. Your savings rate does. Subscribe to the Investment Chronicle. New episodes every Monday and Thursday. See you in the next one.